Yeah, this is a video on how to create your CNC locker sign. So you're going to make a sign on this computer. Then you're going to take your flash drive. You're going to save um, the plasma cut file onto this, bring it over to the CNC machine, and then you'll cut it out, prepare it for painting, paint it, and then you get a grade, and then you will put this onto your locker. So everybody's going to have a locker sign on their locker. So step one, we need to get your flash drive. Go ahead and plug your flash drive into the side of the computer. There should be something that looks like a flash drive already plugged into the computer. You need to leave that plugged in at all times. You cannot take that out. Do not save anything to it. Don't take it out. Just leave that alone. That is a security device that allows us to use this program. On the other side, that should be plugged in, and it should have a little black piece. It's a receiver, digital receiver for the mouse. If your mouse is not working, you need to click the center button on the mouse, this little round button right there. That will wake the mouse up. So we're going to go ahead and open Torchmate edu/n. I already have a file open, but it'll look blank to you. So these things right here are not going to show up. It's going to either be completely blank or you're going to have a rectangle or a square. Okay, what we're going to end up creating for welding 1, welding 2 is going to have a little bit more detail put onto theirs, but we'll get to that. You're going to end up creating something like this. The holes have to be in an exact spot, and you got to have your name across here. And then from that, we're going to create a cut file. This is a cut file that I created from this. This is just a random design. The CNC machine cannot make any sense of this. However, we make a cut file, and this file, once I get this saved onto the flash drive, this will be able to tell the CNC what to do. So first step, you're going to go File, Save As. This is absolutely the very first step you're going to take. We're going to click on this PC. You need to scroll down to where you see your USB. So it'll probably say USB disk. That is the security device. It's called a dongle plugged into the side. Don't save to that. This one I've already renamed, and you can rename yours. You can right click on it, and you can do don't do format. That'll erase everything. You can click name, and you can put your name onto it. Click off, and then it changes it. So double click into that. I've got a bunch of other stuff already on here. And I'm going to title this locker door, and I'm going to put my name on it. I want you to do the same thing. So locker door and put your name on it. It's going to save as a edu file. So click save. That's the very first step you're going to do. Next steps, and I'm going to fly through this as much as I can. I'm going to create a box. If you need to at all during this, you just need to hit pause and follow along with me. I'm going to type in, now that I have this box selected, I'm going to make it 8 inches wide, and it's going to be 4 inches tall, and we're going to make a duplicate of this. So I'm going to hold down the control button that's in the bottom left corner of your keyboard, and I'm going to click the D button, dog, D for dog, control, let down, and then click D. And it will give you a second one. This one we're going to make smaller. It's going to be 8 inches wide, but it's going to be 1 inch tall. Actually, I got my height wrong on this one. This needs to be 3. I apologize. So it's 8 inches by 3 inches. I'm going to take this box and put it all the way in the corner. It's kind of auto aligning. You can see the purple there. If it doesn't auto align, then just click on your object. You're going to click on this left corner. So there's 9 boxes right here that coordinate with these 9 nodes. This is what this is called. So there's 9 nodes there. Make sure you're selecting the bottom left, and then you're going to go 0 for your X coordinate and 0 for your Y coordinate. And this is just geometry. We're going to go up to View, Show Fill, and then you're going to create a circle. Click off the circle, we're going to change the shape of the circle. So I'm going to make sure that this is locked. I want it to scale proportionately when I make it bigger or smaller. I don't want it to become an oval. And then I'm going to make this 0.25, so it's a quarter inch. And I'm going to get the hole located right here, or the circle located right here and right here, equally, symmetrically. We're going to get that located. So I selected the circle. I'm going to hit Control D. And so it made a second one. I'm going to put one over here, one over here. So from year to year, this is the first year we're doing this. From year to year, we're going to just replace these locker signs. One person will take over another person's, and that is how we're going to do this. So these have to be in the exact spot for them to work. So we're going to click on our bottom left corner, click on the node, select your X coordinates. This is going to be 0.5, so it's 5 or half an inch away from the edge, and then 0.5 for your Y, so it's half an inch up and down, and it's selecting, or we have selected the middle node. So then I click on this one. This whole object is 8 inches wide, so subtract a quarter or a half inch from that, and we're going to end up with 7.5. And it's still for your Y coordinates, which is your up and down, the vertical, it's going to be 0.5. That doesn't change even though it's all the way to the right. So I'm going to go view, show fill. And if you want to use the quick commands, which I'll start doing here, it's Alt S. So you hold down Alt and you click S, and then it's a show fill. So I can see the outline of things, or I can see everything. So I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to hold down the shift button, which is right above the control button, select my background object, do this one at a time, and click the OR button, okay? And I'm gonna highlight, select that, hold the shift button. So I have two objects selected right now, and then I go ahead and hit the weld OR button. It's like a subtract button. So now my test, to make sure that I have this correct, I'm just gonna click here in the middle, move it over. I don't see anything left behind. I'm good to go. I'm gonna put this down in the corner, and again, click on your bottom left corner and make sure this is 0. The X coordinate and the Y coordinate are both 0, and it will put it in the bottom corner. Let's go ahead and write your name. My name is fairly short, so it fits in here really nicely. I realize that not everybody's does. If you have a quick nickname that you can use, you can do that or talk with me. Super long names are going to be difficult, and if you have a super long name, talk to me. I'll help you with it. Turn caps lock on. You want, in this program, you always want to have capital letters. Capital letters work better for the machine. Bring this down here to the corner, stretch it out, not proportionately, because I'm going to fill the space. I'm going to do Alt S. I need to make a box now, and I'm going to make the box 0.2. So 0.2 is kind of the go-to number, so 0.2. Our plasma cutter can do anything that is 0.2 or larger without a problem. We get skinnier or smaller than 0.2, and we start running into issues. So I'm going to stretch this out taller to where it kind of gets close to that box. Same thing over here. I'm just using this as a reference, and then I'm going to use it again here in a minute, and you'll see that. So I'm stretching this out. I'm not moving the letters. I'm literally stretching the letters out. I can also use my arrow keys here. That moves them over. Okay. I'm going to move my little reference box over. Alt S is show fill. I need to select everything. So another way to select everything is just to highlight everything. And then I'm going to do a subtraction weld, or the OR weld as it's called there. So here's the problem we have right now. If the machine goes to cut all of this out, you're going to be left with something that looks like this at the top. All of these parts of the letter are going to drop through. I'm going to hit the back button, put it back into position. I'm going to take this little block over here. And I told you that 0.2 is the smallest that we can work with. I'm going to stretch out the top so it's 0.2 wide. I'm going to put it right in here, try to line it up using my arrow buttons. Line it up. I want computers having issues with the flash drive at the moment. So I want this to touch the outside, this inside piece, and then the bridge itself. We call this a bridge. So I can select all of it, or I can hold the shift button and select my three different pieces. So there are three different pieces are selected. I'm going to do this weld that looks like it's joining everything together, and that's exactly what it does. And then I do my test. I grab it without highlighting the whole thing. I just grab it in the middle and move it, and I can see that the A and the B still have problems. So I hit the back command to put it back. I'm going to make another box, and I'm going to duplicate it here in a second. It needs to be 0.2 wide, and we'll make it too tall and stretch it though, so that's not really a problem. Stretch that out, and I'm going to do Control D for dog, duplicate it. I'm going to make this one smaller, and I'm going to use this little rotate command, because if I just throw this in there and make a bridge like that, I don't think that looks very good. I think if you turn it with the letter itself, in this case it's an A letter, that needs to be a little bit smaller there. And I use the arrow commands. Okay, so I think that looks a little better. I am going to highlight the whole thing this time. I showed you the different way last time. Hit the basic weld where that joins it together, grab it in the middle, move it, and it all stays together. So we're good to go. So now I'm going to put this in the bottom 0 coordinates. So X and Y are 0, and you need to make sure that the nodes here, the 9 nodes, you're selecting the bottom left. I know that this thing is 3 inches tall, so let's go ahead and put this, the Y at 0, the Y at 3, I mean, and the X at 0. So they're not overlapping right now. They're literally one over top of each other, but they're not touching because the numbers tell me they're not touching. So I cannot join these two things together because they're not overlapping. So we could overlap the bridge because it was touching. I'll show you. Basic weld doesn't do anything. They're two separate things. It did not join it. It should have, but it's not going to because it's not touching. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to type in 2.99. So I'm really not losing any height, but it is moving it down just so it is able to weld together. So now I can do my test, and they both went together, so we're good to go. So now the next step is going to be creating a cut path, and then we're going to save that cut path onto the flash drive. And then once we save the cut path on the flash drive, that machine is able to read it. That machine cannot do anything with this design right here. So I'm going to select my object. I'm going to go into create toolpath. I'm going to do an online toolpath. Make sure you use online. Down here, yours will not say anything. It'll be a 0 in there. You need to make sure that it is a 100. You need 100 inches a minute. If you don't do that, your project's probably not going to cut. Like, it's not going to. It's going to try. It's going to go super fast, and you're going to go, I did every step. And I'm going to go, I know exactly what you didn't do because it turns out the same every time. On the next tab, the lead in, lead out tab, we don't want any lead in or any lead out. We are going to do adjust start point, and we are going to do middle of longest segment. Make sure that those two are clicked, hit OK. Then we're going to click this little button here. It says show toolpaths only. So it just made my design disappear. It shows me the toolpath only. I'm going to select the toolpath. And I'm going to put this in the 0 coordinates. You got to do this. Otherwise, you're creating a lot of problems for yourself when you get to the machine. And then you'll just have to come back over here and fix it. So I got the toolpath only button selected. I moved it to the bottom left corner. I'm going to go back up to machine and go to output. I can see that it's in the bottom left corner, what I'm wanting. I go to cut now. I'm going to select my flash drive, which I titled my name, and then locker door Raby. And I'm going to add one piece to it because it gets confusing as we go, and there's more and more designs. You need to add to the end of your title. You need to put cut file, and I would recommend putting like one, because this is the first cut file that I'm doing. So I'm going to hit save. Sometimes you have to redo this, and then you'll get to 2 or 3 different revisions. And if you have it labeled like this, your life is a lot easier. So I click save. It saved it. Now for welding 1, you're done here. It's saved to the flash drive. You can go work. For welding 2, we're going to do a step further. I'm going to move my design out of the way and bring this down here. So for step 2, or anybody else who wants to take on additional design, stay tuned here. We're going to go to Google. We need to import a video. I'm going to do corn stalks. So I'm going to right click on an image. What I typed in was clip art cornstalk. So you could type in clip art basketball, clip art soccer ball, clip art. You could do an outline of a specific car. That would be fine. Just it needs to be clip art because it has barely any detail, and that's what you want is blank. So I'm going to right click on this, go save image as. I'm going to save it to the desktop so I can find it easily enough. Usually it goes to downloads if you don't specify. And I'm going to type in corn stalks, save. Now I can minimize that. I don't need that anymore. I'm going to type in paint down here, and you'll see the paint app. We need to resave our file. And I can show you a quicker way too. I mean, you can go file, load, or you can open up paint and then drag your photo from the desktop right onto it. I'm gonna go file, save as. I want a JPEG picture. This program likes JPEGs, so make it a JPEG. I'm gonna save this to the desktop, corn stalks, and I'm just gonna add to the end of it JPEG. So that way I can find it quickly. Save. I can exit out of paint. I don't need that anymore. Pull this back up, go file, acquire image, scan and trace wizard. Next, next. Select your file that you want. Need the desktop. There's the desktop. Cornstalks JPEG. So I have 2 things saved, title of cornstalks, but because I titled this one JPEG, it makes my life easier. Hit next. I need to go left or right with this. This is looking for clarity of your object, but it also starts adding too much pixels. So you're trying to find that happy medium. There looks good for me. Keep it. Next. Apply. So it brought it behind. I'm going to pull it out to the side. That looks kind of weird. I'm going to retry that. I'm going to go back. So what I did was I hit retrace. I'll make it a little darker. Try to get more of the detail to show up. Hit next. Apply. Give me a bunch of different copies. It looks like this one is no good because it has this white background behind it. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. This one, I can work with that. I'm going to hit finish up here. Kind of resets my screen there. Not sure why it does that. I'm going to delete this other bad one that I don't want. And this one is going to go above my nameplate. So I want the corn stalks coming out the top. Something about like that, so it looks like a cornfield. So I need to figure out my sizing. I don't want to go wider left or right. You can go like 3-4 inches above it. That should be fine. Shouldn't have any problems with that. And that about looks good how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to come down here, make another box. We have to cut this in half, so we're going to use the weld command to cut it in half. Cover it up, and I highlight the box and then my object. I'm going to go weld. I'm going to do a subtraction weld or an OR weld, and then it does something funny here on purpose. And then I can just delete. And if I highlight everything, but I don't highlight the corn stalks fully, it'll select everything below it, delete it, make sure you delete it. Now all these pieces are independent, so be careful when you go to move them. I'm going to highlight all of them, and I'm just going to use my arrow commands here. If I zoom out, it moves faster. If I zoom in, it moves slower. So that's a trick for you. And I'm gonna make sure it overlaps. Looks like it's centered. I zoom out. Okay, it looks like corn. Yeah, highlight everything, weld it together. Okay. Now I can go in here and all of these tiny little things that aren't really attached, I can either attach them or I can delete them. For the sake of making this video shorter, I'm going to delete them. But if I was going to spend more time on this, I'd want those on there because they look nice, or looks more like corn with them on. So, um, but for the sake of the video, I'll make it quicker. Um, Actually, I do need to show you that. So you can use the pencil command. And again, you're aiming for like 0.2, and then you just hit apply. So that's like a little corn stalk or the tassel coming out the top. Um, or I can just make a box and do that. So that would be how you do it, and then you just weld it all together. So for this one, going back through the same directions again, go to online, basic cut, make sure this is 100, lead in, lead out, adjust start points checked, middle of longest segment is checked, hit OK. I'm going to click this button here. So it's just the tool path. So I should see 2 tool paths up there. I do. Come back down here. And this needs to be in the 0 coordinates, X0, Y0, and need to make sure that you're in the bottom left node that's selected. Then you go up to machine, output, cut now. Locker door Arabia, I'm going to put corn stalks on this one. And then it's also a cut file. I need to type cut file, and it's 1, the first one for this one. So I hit save. It is saving to my flash drive. I see that. Hit save. I'm done. I can separate my design from my cut file if you want to continue to edit your design. If you don't like the cut file, you just delete them. You don't need that. Always save your actual design. Never know when you're going to have to come back, alter it, edit it, redo it, anything like that. So I just hit save. I am done with this program. So I hit save so I can exit out of it. And I am now done with this computer. So you can shut the computer down and go to the next video for the CNC machine.